Do you really believe that nobody has ever had sex in space? The captain's words rattled through my head as she reached over and took my hand. We penetrated the sky, and I thought I would black out as the second stage thrusters roared violently alight. Ever since I was old enough to look through a telescope, I knew I wanted to be an astronaut. College, flight school, a tour in Iraq, all those physicals, a decade of training, and I was finally spacebound. Earth's gravity gave way to 0 G, blue gave way to black, my vision stopped swimming, and my stomach settled. Mission Control called to congratulate us. The day I got the news that I was selected for the mission was the happiest day of my life. Publicly, I always qualified that statement. It was the happiest day of my life, besides the day my son was born. Privately, I wasn't so sure of that, but I was certain I was born for this. The captain was good at her job. She had been in orbit 3 times already, and we hit it off well. We had a lot in common, and we could shoot the shit at the bar after work. Shamefully, I always thought the captain was prettier than my wife. She left the cockpit first, while I made the necessary post-docking checks in the shuttle. I allowed myself a glance out the porthole. Earth loomed below us, colossal and blue, and a sea of stars stretched all around us, but something struck me as funny. I don't recognize any of these constellations, I muttered. The stars looked like they were in the wrong places. Jack, we're ready, the captain called from below. Roger that, I said, and I powered down the shuttle altogether. Mission Control was throwing up an all clear and would have radio contact inside the station. I pushed off from the console and floated through the hatch, and I was a little surprised to see the captain floating there. Captain, why are you still inside? I said. Tears streamed down her face and floated off in the low gravity, like shards of shattered glass. Something about her expression bothered me, so I pushed off the deck and threw myself towards the window. Earth still stretched below, but I couldn't see the space station. Captain? I'm sorry, Jack, she said. Panic gave way to nausea. Where are the other astronauts? The Russians, I said. She shook her head wordlessly. We're not at the space station, are we? I said, my voice shaking. There's no space station, Jack. But she wasn't lying. Somehow I could tell. But why are we here? Why did you come back here? I didn't want to, she said, but it has to eat. And there was a knock on the door where the space station should have been. As far as I can tell, the sleep talking started a couple months ago. I pray it hasn't been any longer than that. For all I know, it could have been going on for weeks to years without my knowledge. How could I not know? We've slept in the same bed for over a decade, but I never noticed my wife saying anything in her sleep, beyond an occasional moan or whimper. See, I'd been having issues with insomnia lately, probably due to drinking more caffeine at work. It's a bad cycle. I'd go into work tired, so I'd drink more caffeine, I wouldn't sleep well, you get it. Anyway, I was lying awake at 3 a.m. and staring into the blackness above me when I heard her whisper something so low that it was almost inaudible. It was a name, Brad Johnston. Who in the world is Brad Johnston? I remember wondering. As I mulled it over, I fell asleep. The next day, I asked her about it. Who's Brad Johnston? She looked at me blankly. What? Genuinely flabbergasted. Brad Johnston, you said his name while you were sleeping. She just shrugged. I don't know, never heard the name before. Sorry about that. Was it an ex-boyfriend, a character on a show she watches? I didn't know, but I figured it could just be a coincidence. I shrugged it off. The next day, she didn't say anything. In fact, for a week there were no more whisperings that I was aware of. 7 days later, it was once again 3 a.m. I was staring at the ceiling when I heard her whisper, Susanna Decker. The next morning, I asked her about it. Just like the first time, she couldn't tell me where she was getting these names from. After that, the names started coming faster. Kyle Traeger, Kim Tran, Lakeisha Jeffers, and so on. At first, it was one name a night. Soon it was 2, 3, or 4 names. After a couple of weeks, I got the idea to start Googling some of the more unique names. I wish I hadn't. From what I could tell, they were all names of people who had committed suicide. Brad had hanged himself, Susanna had taken pills, and Kaya and Lakeisha were jumpers. Search after search confirmed it. They had died the night she uttered their names. I wrestled with whether or not I wanted to share this information with her. I didn't know what good it would do. It's not like she knew what was going on. In the end, though, that's exactly what I did. Of course, she was devastated to hear the news. She said she didn't ever want to sleep again. But she had to, and the names kept coming. And tonight, I heard my own name pass her lips like a gentle breeze. Christopher Abner. I've never made a noose before, but my hands sure seem to know what they're doing. I moved my family to an old house after a job promotion. We picked an antique, 2-story house on a quiet country road with hardly any neighbors. My wife and I fell in love with the old home immediately. We wondered why the original owners just up and left. Our little girl was exploring every secret the house had to offer. She opened every door, checked every room, lifted up every carpet. She found nothing interesting until she found a small door by the stairs. She opened it to find a fully dressed porcelain doll. She eyed it with interest and showed it to us. My wife and I decided it must have been from the previous owners and debated if we should contact them. Our daughter protested, saying that she would take care of her. We relented on the issue. She named the doll Betty. Out of all of her toys and games, she loved Betty the most. She did everything with her, even had full-length talks with her, even gave her a voice. We always had an extra seat at the table for Betty to eat with us. With hardly any other kids around, I think my little girl really made a friend in Betty when she had none. She was very possessive with Betty as well. Anytime we tried separating them, our daughter would start throwing a fit. One night we told her Betty won't join us for dinner, and she threw her dinner plate on the floor and screamed at us. We sent her to her room without Betty, who we locked in the tiny room she came from. I walked past the stairs later that night to find the tiny door opened. I went right to my daughter's room thinking that she must have snuck downstairs to get Betty. Sure enough, I found Betty sitting on her bed, staring at the doorway. I went over to pick the doll up by its neck. A sharp pain dug into the skin between my thumb and index finger, and I dropped Betty on the carpeted floor. I looked and found bite marks on my hand. The pain was sharp and burning. I heard the running of tiny feet behind me and turned to find Betty back on my daughter's bed. Betty hasn't left my daughter's side since then. Connor! Where'd you go, Connor? The loud, husky voice woke me from a dead sleep. I looked at my phone, 2:17 a.m. I let out a long sigh and simply closed my eyes. Come on, Connor! No hide and seek tonight! So much for silence. The same damn voice bellowing out for the same damn person. I think it's a person. He did say something about playing hide and seek. Drunks probably, I thought. Those partying bastards were interrupting my beauty sleep. Connor! Connor, let's go, bro! Are these folks doing this now on an otherwise unassuming Monday night? Save the screaming for the weekend, I say. But of course, the parties involved didn't receive my message through my outdated telepathy software. So, in an all too short pause in the screaming, I once again heard, Connor! Now my blood is boiling. I choose not to climb out of bed and yell back. It would be hypocritical, for starters, mixed with unnecessary language coupled with my interrupting my own laziness. But then another sound begins to echo in the night air. I lay there and listen intently. I'm not sure I recognize it, as it sounds like a rhythmic squeak squeak, almost like bed springs, if you will. But who in the hell has a bed outside? And if so, do I truly want to know what they're doing? Connor! Alright, now I'm pissed. I jump out of bed with plenty of anger for fuel. I make my way downstairs. Forget peeking out the window. I'm going outside. All the while, the squeaking continues. As I reach for the front door, the situation becomes clear. The noise is the trampoline the stupid neighbor kids have across the street. That's the sound I'm hearing, but there's still a question to be answered. Who the hell is Connor? I quickly opened up the door and ran into the front lawn. I was right. The squeaking was the trampoline. Just one thing though. Nobody is on it. From down the street, the voice yelled out for Connor. Without missing a beat, the trampoline stopped. Then a burly-looking fella came out from the darkness in the direction of the voice. He let out a sigh of relief and said, "There you are." Did I miss something? There who is? I didn't see anyone. But the squeaking stopped. The trampoline had gone silent, and the ogre-looking thing was walking towards it. Then he noticed me standing in my undies by the sidewalk. With a toothy grin on his face, he waved too casually for my liking, as though this was normal in his world. "Sorry if I woke you, man." I just hurried back into the house, all kinds of freaked out. I walked into the kitchen and flipped on the light. I jumped and screamed when I saw a pale boy sitting on my counter. He put his index finger to his lips. "Shh, he won't find me here." The thing I hate most about summer is the abundance of flies, especially when they infest my apartment. Around mid-August, I keep finding more and more of them. Just an endless number of tiny, buzzing insects. Everywhere I look, they congregate into a swarm by the windows. That's my best opportunity to swat as many as I can. I keep having to clean up after purging my home of the little vermin. My windows keep getting dirtied and smudged with blood and guts. More and more of those damned little corpses wind up on my carpet. I vacuum them up, but I broke it after trying to suck up the thousands of black squishy remnants. But for as much as I kill, more appear out of nowhere. Every dart flying out of the corner of my eye, every shock-inducing buzz sound like a fire alarm by my ear, every sensation of tiny disease-carrying legs crawling on my neck. And they seem to come out of everywhere. The vents, the trash cans, sometimes even the fridge. Nothing I do seems to get rid of them. Every day is a constant battle trying to keep my home fly-free. Night is when it finally calms down. It's silent aside from the constant hum of the AC unit blasting cold air. On this night, I was especially exhausted and was nearly about to drift off to sleep when I began to hear something else beneath the AC. Some kind of buzzing that kept getting louder and louder until it filled the whole room. I was jolted out of my near sleep when I felt small, sharp bites everywhere on my body. I wasn't sure if my ceiling lamp was broken when I flipped it on, but then I made a sudden terrible realization. My whole room was covered with flies. There were so many, they literally covered every inch of wall. The infinite number of wings kept droning at an ear-splitting volume. They kept biting my arms and legs with their mandibles that felt like I may as well been stabbed 1,000 times. Before I knew it, a formless black mass had descended on me. I tried fighting them off, but they kept up their onslaught. I could feel them chomping and biting into my flesh. Some of them dug into every orifice they could. They burrowed into my ears, mouths, their little hooked feet causing my insides to itch as they burrowed deeper into my body. I could only look up at my ceiling helpless while I was buried alive in that black droning cloud.
Hello, my spooky crew. I know it's been a while, but I'm back. I had to take a little bit of a hiatus during the summer so I could finish up some summer classes, but now I'm a bit more structured for the fall and I can bring back my narrations. For the fall, I do have to restructure my channel a little bit. I won't be able to bring the Tuesday tales. At the moment, those are still on hiatus. I have 4 classes, and my makeup videos do take the longest to create and edit. For right now, I will be posting Tuesday and Fridays, just the narrations, solo stories, and on Saturdays, I will be posting compilations of the TikTok stories I've posted throughout the week. If you're interested in checking out those TikTok stories, the actual video for them, my TikTok is down below. Same name, Makeup Tales. Also, if you're interested in checking out any of these stories for yourself, you can check out the authors down below and their links. I'm so happy to be back and bringing you guys back narrations and can't wait to continue with this. I hope you guys enjoyed these stories, and I will see you guys in the next one. And remember, stay spooky and stay glamorous.